What is going on? Episode 39 of the Media Captain podcast. Jason Parks.
And Stephanie Parks. It's been a little difficult getting started these past few times. We're trying out some new things here with video and Facebook Live, so just getting adjusted.
Well, if you're listening to the podcast, it's not difficult. I mean,
that's true. You had no idea. I just gave up our secret information.
Yeah, they're hearing it like there's no flaws. But behind the scenes, guys, if you're listening we are recording this on Facebook Live. We're also doing YouTube videos now. So, I mean, it was hard enough for us to just speak into, an audio microphone, and we're adding two elements to the mix. But we're excited for episode 39. What are we talking about, Steph?
Today we are talking about email automations for e-commerce. This is something that I've been working on a lot lately for Durham Warehouse. For those of you who are new to the Media Captain podcast, we are going to be talking about Durham Warehouse and the Media Captain. Durham Warehouse is our family's e-commerce business. We sell skincare products, and the Media Captain is a digital agency working with lots of different clients. So
first off, guys, Stephanie got engaged. Is that what you call it? You got engaged?
I think so.
Okay. So since the last podcast, she got engaged. So congrats, Steph.
Thanks.
And by the way, on the last podcast, I knew that her fiance now was proposing to her. And I almost revealed it in the middle of the podcast, and I had to catch myself. So I'm just glad that I got through that. But congrats, Steph.
Thanks. And we also have to give a shout out to Allison and our parents, Robin and Alan, because they'll be very offended if we don't mention them. And we love them all so much.
They're 80% of our podcast listeners.
Yeah.
So
they've all contributed greatly to our success. So just want to give a shout out to everyone in the fam. Hey guys.
All right. Enough about our personal lives.
We didn't get into your personal life, but maybe we'll save that for next time.
That will be a couple of podcasts.
Yep.
So.
All right, episode 39. Let's get back to it. Email automations for e-commerce. So let me just take you back with Durham Warehouse, a little bit of our history with email marketing and what we've been doing, and then we'll get into the email automations that we've really just very recently started. Durham Warehouse launched in 2016. Since then, we've been using MailChimp. MailChimp has done awesome for us. We send out, a lot of campaigns with sales and other information, and it's been great for us. I have no complaints about MailChimp. But at this point, we were feeling like there was other things that we wanted to do. We wanted to do a lot with abandoned carts and sending out emails to our loyalty members, and we just weren't able to do that with MailChimp. So we felt like we kind of outgrew it, and it was time to switch to another platform. So we switched over to Klaviyo a couple months ago.
Klaviyo or Klaviyo?
So this is really funny. I never know how to say it, and they recently sent me a little package with a t-shirt and a notebook and a pen and stickers. And one of the stickers is the phonetic spelling of Klaviyo. CLAY-VEE-OH. So the mystery has been solved, folks. It is Klaviyo.
Okay. And before you get into this, so for anybody that's listening to this podcast or watching the videos, choosing the right email provider is very important. For our agency at the Media Captain, we work with over 50 businesses. Our preference is MailChimp. So if you're looking for an option, $30, essentially, if you have a small list, it's a great option in MailChimp. We have a lot of clients that inherited Constant Contact. We work with Constant Contact. We're fine with that. Those are pretty basic, pretty standard.
I've used Constant Contact. I like that. Yeah. I like both of them.
They're solid. Yeah. It's like Pepsi and Coke,
Yeah. Good comparison.
Yeah.
I like that.
So, but what we're really diving into today is for e-commerce companies, when you've outgrown a platform like this, but also if you're not an e-commerce business owner or company, don't turn off the podcast, because a lot of what you're hearing with automation, the same exact thing can be done. You can set up automations within MailChimp, within Constant Contact, if you're a B2B business, if you're non-e-commerce. So don't think that this only relates to e-com, because there can be a lot of automations for any business. And I'll talk about what we do on the Media Captain side in terms of automation.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong. Like Jason said, there are automations that you can do through MailChimp, and there's really a lot you can do. I mean, it kept us going for a lot of years, and it was great. But when we were ready to do some more advanced things, we kind of had to move away from it. But MailChimp was great. And especially for the price point, it's a lot more inexpensive than a software like Klaviyo. It's probably about half the price for the amount of people that we have in our email list. So cost is definitely a consideration also.
Let's dive into it. Okay. So, well, first of all, let's talk about the importance of collecting email addresses, and I'll let you go through that list. Yeah. So,
for any business, collecting email addresses is super important.
Yeah. Durham Warehouse now is, just to show you the scale on this, Durham Warehouse now is approaching, if not over 100,000 email addresses. This is a combination of customers, lead capture that we've done on the site. There's a statistic out there that for every $1 you spend on email marketing, you get $37 in return. And we've seen, the proof is in the pudding for Durham Warehouse. It is by far the most profitable channel for our business. What's really interesting is that on the agency side, I deal with a lot of e-commerce store owners. And especially when they first approach our agency, there's something that's called an ROAS, which is a return on ad spend. And people will always, I don't want to say demand, but they're like, hey, can you deliver me a 7-to-1 ROAS, return on ad spend? What that means is if they spend $100, that they would generate $700 in revenue, which would be great, right? That would be profitable. So most people, though, are impatient. They just look directly within AdWords and they look for that ROAS metric. What they don't take into consideration is the emails that they capture, the nurturing that can be done, and the long-term profitability. So for Durham Warehouse, over 30% of our customers turn into repeat orders, and we get a nice lifetime value on those customers. So it's just something, capturing emails is so important. But if you're just capturing emails and nobody's ever ordering or, following up with you after you send them an email, obviously there's an issue. But when you have a good product or a good service, you're capturing emails in the right way and following up with them, and you start to see sales come in, it's one of the most important things in marketing overall.
So both for Durham Warehouse and for the Media Captain, we use software called Sumo, which is just a pop-up that you can put on your site. You can design it however you want. And that has helped both businesses capture a ton of emails. We recently moved from Sumo to Klaviyo because they have their own pop-up on there, but the Media Captain is still using it. A lot of the Media Captain's clients are using it as well, and Sumo's awesome. Can't speak highly enough about them.
Yeah, and we'll link to all of these resources, Klaviyo and Sumo and MailChimp, and everything that we're referencing here, we will make sure to link to on the YouTube video and on the podcast description.
So pretty much for Durham Warehouse, we realized with MailChimp, we were sending out a limited number of emails. We didn't really want to bother people too much. We're sending out a couple emails every month, mostly just sale emails. And that was great. It did really well for us. And we were lucky that we were able to send out those sales. But we also realized that there was a lot of money being left on the table. So as we continued growing, we knew that there were other things that we really needed to do and sales that we weren't capturing. We had tried, shopping cart abandonment is something that's been on our list for a really long time. And we've tried several different plugins to help us with this and to capture these abandoned carts when somebody puts something in their cart but then never checks out for whatever reason. But none of them functioned really well. None of them looked that great, and just none of them really worked out for us.
And just to backtrack real quick. So shopping cart abandonment, if you've ever gone to a website, an e-commerce website, and you add something to your shopping cart, and then you leave the site and you check competitor sites just to see if you can find a better price. A smart e-commerce company is able to collect all of that information, and they're able to then email you. So in your inbox, you're like, oh my gosh, I just got a 10% off coupon for the exact thing that I had in my shopping cart. Or you even get retargeting ads. When you have good digital marketing behind your e-commerce company, that's what's going to happen. So just if you're not that familiar with abandoned shopping cart, you add a product to your shopping cart, you leave, you abandon, and then you get a follow-up email.
And if you're wondering how in the world that happens, there's a snippet that you can put on the back end of your site so that when somebody enters their email address on the checkout page, even if they don't go through the whole checkout process, their email address is captured and their entire shopping cart is captured actually with all of the products that were in the cart. That way that you can then email them later. So that's kind of the back end of how it worked. It was not something that we were able to really easily figure out with MailChimp, but it's something that Klaviyo does extremely, extremely well. So that's the first thing that we set up with them, and that has been so huge for us. I mean, we launched it about a month ago, and already the returns that we're getting from the shopping cart abandonment are insane.
Yeah, I looked at analytics for Durham Warehouse, and over, I think, 30% of revenue now can be attributed to email marketing, and that's gone up significantly since we moved to Klaviyo.
I think it might be even more than that. So shopping cart abandonment, we set up an email, and it's 3 emails. It's first one says, "Hey, you left something behind." We give the customers a coupon code, and then you can follow up again if somebody hasn't purchased after the first email. So we followed up, after 3 days, and then after another couple of days. So trying to capture those people who left their cart behind for whatever reason.
And if you have questions, like if you're listening to this and you really want to just go dive into shopping cart abandonment, but you don't know where to start, like really coming up with that initial process is really important. So walk through like how you came up with the process of how frequent these people are going to get messages and what messages to get.
So that's the other great thing about Klaviyo is they really helped walk me through it. And obviously I shop online and I've gotten shopping cart abandonment emails myself. So the first thing I did was I went to several sites and I abandoned my cart and I waited for the emails to come and I kind of saw what they were doing. And it's pretty standard. The first email comes after a few hours, the second email comes after a few days, and then the third email comes maybe a day after that or a couple of days after that. But Klaviyo has been really great. I mean, they work with so many e-commerce clients that they kind of know the best practices for how often and when these should be sent. They have a lot of great templates also. So, you don't have to build everything exactly from scratch. Obviously, you put your own messaging in it, you put your own designs in the emails, but they give you kind of a layout as to what you should be doing and what works best for their customers. So that was really helpful. So that shopping cart abandonment, that's the first, they call them flow. That's the first, flow that we set up. And it's done, like we said, really well so far.
Yeah, and the beauty of shopping cart abandonment, what I think is so cool is that like you just have this automation process. Like when you're sleeping, when you're on vacation, like it's just working in the background like a beast for your company. Like it's literally hitting people who were almost ready to make that purchase. And by the way, like the way that we have this set up is if somebody's made a purchase, they're not going to get an email for shopping cart abandonment. So this is just working in the background, and you spend the money on the advertisements, you spend the money on the SEO to get the people to your website. Well, you want to convert them at the highest possible rate. And so shopping cart abandonment helps you do that.
And the other thing you're able to do is you're able to turn on something called smart sending. And what that is basically you can tell the emails, okay, for shopping cart abandonment, if somebody's already gotten an email from us in the last, I think it's like 16 hours, do I want them still to get this email? So you can decide which emails are the most important. That way there's never people getting like 5 emails in a single day. That's good.
We had a client that we took over their Klaviyo account and we dug into it, and the first thing we saw is we were getting 5 emails in a day. So we had to, making sure you get the right process set up is super important.
Yep. So shopping cart abandonment, that's the first one. The next one we set up is called browse abandonment, which I didn't even know about until recently. So similar to shopping cart abandonment, but these are for people who haven't even made it to the shopping cart. So they come to the site, they put their email address in somewhere like on the pop-up, which we were talking about, and then they actually visit a product page, but they don't check out, they don't go to the checkout page. They just leave the site after looking at a product. We're now able to send those people an email with specifically the product they were looking at and, some kind of coupon code or something like that to entice them to come back and buy it. So that's really cool because I was unaware that was even a thing, and it's a thing. The next one that we set up are anniversary emails. So you shop at Durham Warehouse, and then 1 year later, you get an email saying, happy anniversary, we made it, it's been a year. here's a gift for you, or, whatever you want to do, just to let your customers know that they've been around for a while, and again, entice them to come back and shop with you again. Next.
Do you need to take normally I'm doing all the talking.
I know.
So I think maybe I'll try and fill in here.
Go for it. I'll let you know if you're missing anything.
So one of the cool ones is like when you start going through this, you start to realize, you start to come up with other ideas, and you start to see what other retailers are doing. So my wife, for example, she's always.
Hey, Al.
Hey. So she'll be happy that she got a shout out. But
2 shout outs.
So she always gets a birthday gift from Sephora. They just send her like a nice sample or a percentage off. So like when I saw that, I talked to Stephanie. I'm like, hey, we should get this as part of the abandoned shopping cart. And that's something that we're able to implement. And these are just additional touch points with customers. They've already paid money on our site, and they might have just been busy, or they might have forgotten. So email is a great
or not,
reminder.
or they shop with us all the time, but they still get a nice gift on their birthday, and they're really excited about that. So it doesn't, these automations don't only have to be for people who you've lost. They can also be to reward customers who are really good customers. And I think that's really what most of the rest of our different flows are all about. So we have the birthday one. People get a gift card on their birthday. That's really nice. People are excited about it. We're still in the process of getting that one set up, and people are emailing us asking, what's the birthday gift? We're excited about it. You just added this. So that's one. We are going to be sending emails about our loyalty program. So this is, our loyalty program is something we just recently launched within the last few months. And when people have $20, $50, or $100 worth of points in their account, we're going to send them an email to let them know, hey, you have points waiting for you. Come buy something and you'll get this amount off. Replenishment reminders. We have subscriptions on our site. So if you buy a skincare product, you buy it every 3 months, you can sign up for an automatic refill. So you don't have to do anything. You don't have to come back to our site. You'll automatically get your product every 3 months. So this one is really cool because for anybody who has bought the same product more than once, we'll send them an email saying like, hey, you purchase this product a lot, you should sign up for a subscription. And when you do, you can save 20% on every one of your orders.
Yeah. And just pivoting here a little bit, talking about the media captains. So like we have automation set up also. I mean, we use HubSpot and we use MailChimp. And when new leads come in, we have a follow-up process that our sales team does where we reach out to a contact a certain amount of times. And after we've hit that threshold, we then get them sent into an automation where it just sends them, reminders, interesting facts about the media captain, success stories. So
now our podcasts go out in the automation.
Yeah, our podcasts go out in the automation. So like you need to be thinking about your business. What are unique messages that you can be coming up with? How do you sequence that out? Like obviously there has to be some sort of like genericness. Is that a word?
I don't think so.
Sounds like it probably isn't. But so there has to be, you just come up with a process and you map that out, and that becomes, whether it's e-com, whether it's B2B. And like I said, we're using HubSpot, MailChimp. So Klaviyo is not cheap. I mean, for Durham Warehouse, we're paying $1,000 a month for this. So you have to be at a certain threshold of revenue for that to have a positive ROI. And there are ways within MailChimp where you can set up shopping cart abandonment. But when you start talking about the amount of sequences that we're going into, MailChimp is going to reach its limitations.
Yeah. So, but whatever your business is, email is so important. It's important for, keeping customers around, just informing them of new things, sales, whatever. So whatever your business is and whatever your strategy is, you want to make sure that it includes email marketing.
For sure. You got anything else, or is that?
Haven't I talked enough this time? You got anything else?
I think, I think in closing, when it comes to email marketing, just don't be impatient if orders and sales are not coming through. If you're capturing leads, this is the way that you nurture the leads. That's how you turn it from a prospect into a paying customer. And over time, you might not see the ROI directly within AdWords, but over time, that's how it adds up. Stephanie, I always go in for the ask. So if you have not given a review for the Media Captain and you're listening to our
podcast, Media Captain's podcast,
our growing and loyal podcast listeners, go on to Apple iTunes, leave us a review. Check us out on YouTube. We're posting more videos for the Media Captain on YouTube.
And Derm Warehouse if you're into skincare.
And Derm Warehouse. So you can do that as well. And if you have any questions, just tweet at us at the Media Captain, and we'll answer your questions on the podcast and all of these different channels that we have going now. So, and by the way, we have to wrap up now because my battery has gone to 10% and I'm seeing that warning on the phone, which we're recording. So that's going to wrap it up, guys. And we will be back for episode 40 will be the next one, which is pretty
big.
crazy. So,
all right. See you next week.
Bye.